Hey guys, this is Jay Calderon with Jay Unboxing here, giving you a personal prediction for Jesse Rodriguez versus Srisaket Sor Rungvisai. And as always, this is just my take. Your prediction can be left down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. Also, just want to give a quick shout. Of course, I've been sick for the last couple of weeks, so I haven't been able to really post much. My voice has been completely gone. I've been congested and all this kind of stuff. It's real fun, of course. But yeah, just want to say that's kind of why I wasn't very busy right now, but I'm getting back into the swing of things now. So we're going to start off with this fight here. A little bit of fight info here. We have Rodriguez, who is the title holder in this fight, taking on Sor Rungvisai at the Techport Arena in San Antonio, Texas. Airing live on DAZN with the WBC Junior Bantamweight title possessed by Rodriguez on the line. Now, personally, to me, this is a very, very good fight. One that I find pretty hard to predict, as a matter of fact, though that's never really a bad thing, is it? So I'm not too mad about it. But you have the hard-hitting veteran in Sor Rungvisai taking on the new unbeaten titleist in Rodriguez. Sor Rungvisai has the size advantage, but Rodriguez has the speed and youth in his favor. Still, it's really a fight that could go a couple of different ways. Like, legitimately, you really don't know which way this one can go, and that's always a fun sort of fight. So, without much more ado, let's break this bad boy down. Starting off with Rodriguez to win here. For Jesse to win, I think he wants to keep light on your feet. I think that's going to be very important for him, especially later in this fight, because it's going to be something where you want to build up a lead if you're Rodriguez. You're dealing with speed, energy, volume, and that's naturally going to fade for most fighters in a fight, especially if the fight's relatively hard or if you're fighting someone who's, worth a bit in the game like Sor Rungvisai is. That means you're going to want to use that energy while you have it early, stay light on your feet, be harder to hit, make yourself less of an open target, much more elusive, and that's going to pay off dividends later on in this fight. But if you're standing and trading, especially early with the guy who has such heavy hands, you're just really putting yourself in a much tougher position than need be, especially if you're someone like Rodriguez who does have a little bit more movement in you, a little bit more angles, and those are just things you're going to want to rely upon in this fight to be successful. And speaking of which, the next thing I would say is work your angles. That's going to be very important for Rodriguez. When he twists and turns and kind of pivots on a dime, he can really upset opponents with the sort of shots that he's able to land. He has a great uppercut that he can peel off in those positions. He also has a great right cross that he can use, and he uses them really, really well when he can catch the opponent off guard by pivoting quickly on those tight angles on the inside, hitting you with those nice quick shots, and then moving out of way and sort of resetting. This allows for him to effectively hit and not get hit, continue to reset, and then continue to do this in a fight. When he sits more in the pocket is when things can get a bit more dangerous for him, which is what he's going to want to make sure he's not doing so much of. So staying light on your feet and working those angles will certainly help that case. And again, I mentioned that the final clue here for him would be to land that uppercut. I think that's going to be a key punch in this fight. And the reason for it is he can peel it off pretty quickly, pretty fast, and in those kind of tight quarters a lot better than maybe is to be expected. He can really peel it off pretty well. Yes, he has a great 1-2. He has some decent speed and power in any of these sorts of shots, and he's going to need to use them because he's going to want to land something well on Sor Rungvisai to make sure that he kind of gains his respect earlier on in that fight. But when he's walking the heavier-footed, more easy-to-hit target of Sor Rungvisai into these shots, I think that uppercut is a shot he might not see coming, and that could have perhaps the most damage for Rodriguez, who, again, is moving up in weight, and this is only the second fight in this division for him. Whether he has a title or not, that means something, so the shots that will be the best and most effective for him are still going to be those shots that his opponent doesn't see coming. Now, for Sor Rungvisai to win, I think you want to look to land the left hook, and that's a very good shot for him because he can sort of throw it in this way where it almost comes across camouflaged as a jab, and he can land that shot really well. And with his heavy hands, he doesn't need much or to put much torque into it for it to be effective in this fight. Trading with Rodriguez will be in those moments where he can land that shot comfortably, and again, perhaps treating it as though it might look like a jab would potentially trick Rodriguez, who again is still the less experienced fighter of the two of them. And if he can get that shot going, especially because again Rodriguez will let his hands go, it's a shot that could potentially land and potentially put his opponent down if he lands it consistently enough. I would also say press the action. That's a pretty simple one, but I think for him it's really going to need to be what happens. He's going to have to push Rodriguez back. If he's just letting him box and move and put forth the sort of technical skills that he wants to, it's going to be a really long night for Sor Rungvisai. But if he can actually press the action, put him up against the ropes or corner him, or at the very least kind of offset some of his rhythm that he's trying to get into, this is going to allow for him to be in a much dirtier fight. And that really does favor him. If he can get the action to be a little dirtier, a little nastier, it's going to allow for him to kind of get the work he wants to get done. And of course, have some success on the night. And I think another one of those similar sort of tactics would be to go to the body. Again, if you're trying to slow a person down, if you're trying to sap some of their energy from them, if you're trying to keep them still a bit more, easiest way to do that is take some of the wind out of those sails, and the best way to do that is, of course, to attack the body. This is going to make the shots that you throw to the head a lot easier to land because, again, they will have limited movement if you're consistently going to the breadbasket. And I think Sor Rungvisai needs to be able to do that. I also think he has a really good chin, and he has the sort of ability to take a shot or two if necessary to be able to land those shots, especially early on. Because he's going to have to be willing to take those shots. He just has a slower hands, and this is kind of the tactic he needs to employ. But he has the sort of chin that will allow for him to do it, barring, Rodriguez just hitting that home run shot that, was kind of unforeseen. But if he can get those shots going, is willing to take the sort of risks on necessary to land those sort of shots, I think Sor Rungvisai could have some success with some body shots. Now, in terms of my pick here, while this fight can go either way, like legitimately can, I'm leaning towards a bit of what I think is an upset in Jesse Rodriguez winning. I think the action won't shoot out of the gates, but will pick up quickly after a few rounds of Rodriguez boxing and moving well. A fast jab, angles, and fast hands in general will help build up that sort of early lead. The middle rounds, however, is where Rodriguez will win the fight. His youth, his general freshness and speed will frustrate Sor Rungvisai, who will struggle to kind of land enough of those heavy-handed shots to make much of a difference. Due to his experience and desire to keep pressing, and knowing this could be one of his last shots at the top, Sor Rungvisai will make it close in those final rounds. I think he will. He's going to push forward and let more and more of his hands go, and I think more will get home. However, provided Rodriguez can avoid taking anything monstrous, he should have done enough to seal the deal by that point, and in my opinion, win the fight. Jesse Rodriguez via solid but relatively close unanimous decision. Now, the betting odds for this fight haven't yet been released. It's still a bit too early, but I have heard some things about Sor Rungvisai likely being a favorite. Not exactly sure what that'd be set at. If I had to guess, it'd be probably something like a minus 200 to minus 250, somewhere in that range. To me, I think, that's a relatively decent pick. I suppose, however, again, I'm going with Rodriguez in this one, so it's kind of hard to make any kind of real concrete statements about this one until the odds are released. Again, if I had to make a guess for the over-under, I think it's going to be around the 9.5 to maybe 10.5 round mark. Again, kind of depends on how favored either of the guys are, but that's sort of the general area where I think this fight's going to be set. But again, going to be hard to kind of give too much more concrete advice on anything like that until those odds are released. In any event, those are kind of my guesses. We'll see how right or very wrong I most likely will be. And in any event, my prediction record heading into this fight is 20 right with 6 wrong and no draws with 5 exact. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Love to hear your thoughts on this one, your picks, your predictions, all that sort of stuff. Of course, your bets once they are made available. I think this is a very interesting fight, so I'd love to hear who you have on this one, especially because it is just one of those ones I hope doesn't fly under the radar because it does deserve a lot of attention. Of course, please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow me at Twitter at jcalderon_JOB, and you can email me at jagonboxing@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you there. Also, be sure, of course, to check out jagonboxing.com for schedule, results, betting odds, rankings, all that good stuff. Just updated the schedule, so there's a whole bunch of fights coming up you can check out there, of course. And, of course, later this week, be sure to check out my Fighter Grade series, which will be coming out on Sunday. And, again, it actually will in this case because I'm hopefully not going to be sick anymore this year. I've had enough of that. And, as always, of course, until next time.